Okay guys, it's Monday, November 27th. It's about 9 o'clock. Take you in here and show you what I'm working on. First of all, I want to say this video goes out to Grand Prismatic. He's always commenting and kind of just nudging me along, dropping hints that he hasn't seen the Syncro for a while and wondering where it's at. So I figured I would do a little update here. I've been working on this Syncro now for, oh gosh, 3 or 4 days. It's been in here for longer than that. It's been in here for a week. But about probably a year ago now, the transmission came out of the Syncro. 4th gear on it had been out for quite a while, and I'd just been bombing it around in 3rd, which actually with the tires that I've got on it, 3rd, I cruise at 60. It's wound a little tight, but you know, 3,900 RPM, and 3rd gear, it's 60 miles an hour. Had a comment the other day about the tire size. We're running 215 85 R16s on Audi A6 rims. I don't recommend this large a tire. It looks awesome. It handles great off-road. You know, it's got tons of clearance. This thing's stock height, but it killed the top end power on this thing. It made it very difficult to drive. Anyways, unfortunately, I got used to how it looked, and I just couldn't go back. So eventually, we're gonna upgrade the power plant in this thing, but for now, I'm running these tires. So basically, what I'd had to do was I had to pull out the transmission. I did a bunch of research on some different places to send it off to have it rebuilt, and man, I was getting quotes, you know, upwards of seven grand, $7,500. I mean, just kind of ridiculous quotes. And I ended up sending it out to Rancho Performance Transaxles in California. They did a complete rebuild on it and replaced the viscous with the decoupler, which I'm really excited to give that a try. I don't have the frame back in it yet. You know, the lower frame that the Syncros have, that's going in next. I've just got done fishing this wiring harness out. Interesting thing on these Syncros, they were wired. They were already wired for the decoupler. They were actually wired for a front locker. And then if we come around to this side, this one did come with the rear locker. Get some light up in here. That's this unit here. You can see it's vacuum. So this one came with the rear locker. I don't think any of the US spec models came with a decoupler or a front locker. A lot of the European ones did. So I'm wired. I've actually pulled out the dash and drilled it for the second button. The middle button is a decoupler. The button to the right is the rear locker. And so that was a pretty easy just plug and play once I found it. Here's the actuator for the front, for the decoupler. I have not yet ran the vacuum lines, so that's the next thing on my list. Is I got to run the vacuum lines up through here, stick them through up into the dash, and plug all that in. I was really kind of hoping I was going to have this thing ready to go tonight, but man, I don't know if I'm going to make it. The other thing I still need to do is I decided to do the fuel lines on it again. Did the fuel lines probably 5-6 years ago, maybe longer than that. And I've got the crimp-on style, the clamps that just crimp on, and I decided to try the clamps from Van Cafe that actually tighten up. Got new aluminum fuel rails for it as well. New axles. I went with the Go Westy, just the cheap axles, which are basically the empty axles. I'm going to try those out. I wanted to get the 944 axles from Van Cafe, but they were about 250 bucks a piece versus $100 a piece for these. So this job has broke the bank. That's why it's taken so long for me. I basically right now, just kind of off the top of my head, I'm probably into this. The transmission was $4,100, which was a bargain compared to, you know, a lot of the other places I was getting quotes from. Another thing that I decided to do was put these Go Westy lighting back here is no good. Let me drop this lift down just a little bit. I decided to put the Go Westy, what they call the zero lift rear springs. Now, on a Westfalia, on a full camper, they weigh, I don't know, 800 pounds or something like that, more than a tin top. These would just be like zero lift. There wouldn't be any lift at all. On a tin top like our Syncro, these provide about 1.5 inches of lift. And the crazy thing is, when I got them apart, right down here, these spring perches were actually rusted out. And man, it was just a mess. I had to basically build some new ones, weld those in. You know, that set me back a good, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 hours. And went ahead and put some shocks in as well. The shocks are really nothing fancy. They're just you know, 60 bucks from the local parts store, but I kind of had to slow down because, you know, like I say, we're probably in this thing right now 5,500 bucks into this transmission swap, the suspension, fuel lines, you know, even just little stuff like the fuel pump here, these little rubber mounting grommets, I guess you call them, buffers. I don't know why, I can't think of what they're called right now. Anyways, those bad boys were like, I think those were like 40 or 50 bucks for a set of those for the good ones. They had a cheaper version as well, but I went ahead and sprung for the better ones. But anyways, that's what's going on. I am frantically trying to get the Syncro together because the girls have decided that this is what they want to take to go cut a Christmas tree this year. So, Grand Prismatic, I appreciate the subtle hints from time to time that the Syncro needs to get back on the road, and we're making it happen, and we're hopefully going to be out cutting a Christmas tree in it here pretty soon. Another thing that I did this quite a while ago, actually, I got these Go Westy bumpers. And usually these are kind of, I don't know, they've got like a truck bed liner on them, and I kind of went overboard. I actually cleaned up all of the welds on it, hit it with a flap wheel, then actually used a surface primer and primed the whole bumper. Actually skim coated some of it with a little bit of spot putty, and then surface primed them, blocked them, and I don't know why I went to all that trouble. They're just going to get torn up, but man, they're probably some of the cleanest, straightest Go Westy bumpers you're ever going to see. I got these basically for free. I bought a burned up Syncro that I ended up buying pretty cheap. I pulled the bumpers off of it and a set of South African rain wheels, and then I ended up selling it for a fair amount more than I paid for it. So I kind of just ended up with the bumpers and the wheels for nothing. And let me walk around here, you can see the front one. Again, same type of deal. I cleaned up all the welds. The welds on these aren't the greatest from Go Westy, but these ones are pretty clean. Spent a lot of time blocking those out, and then I just resurfaced them with some PPG single stage, like an industrial urethane that they've got out now. Another thing I'm working on here, this is actually hopefully a money-making project. This is a little FZJ 80. It's a 1994 truck. Picked it up with a little bit of body damage up here on the A-pillar. I'm going to end up skinning this outer, kind of cutting that off and skinning that. Got to pull the door and the fender. I think what happened was a tree branch came through here because there was bark everywhere and it just tore the dash up. So in addition to the bodywork, I've got the dash completely out of this thing. And it's got one little dent up here on the roof that I'm going to have to fix. But like I say, this is actually just a money-making project. I'm going to get this put together and resell it. I've actually got another one of these over at the other shop. I've got a 95 over at the other shop that is close to being done. I got a few more things to do on it. It kind of got put on the back burner and I just haven't gotten back to it. It's actually only got 105,000 original miles on it. This truck here has 215 on it. Anyways, guys, I'm pretty excited about the Syncro and hoping to have this thing done tomorrow. I think I'm just about ready to call it a night tonight. I'm going to come in the morning. I'm going to put the vacuum lines in for that decoupler and basically put the frame in, do the fuel lines, and I should be ready to fire this thing up and drive it out of here. Thanks again, Grand Prismatic, for the subtle hints and the motivational posts, helping me get motivated to put this thing back together. And hopefully the next video you guys see of the Syncro, it's bombing through the back roads of Idaho in search of our Christmas tree for this year. Thanks for watching, guys. We will catch you later.